No one ever said ghosts were friendly. If they did, they lied. Because whatever this is, it started coming for me before it even knew my name. It all began when a phone rang that never should have. My phone. At 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzed on my nightstand. An unknown number. I almost ignored it. It wasn't just the hour, it was the sound. It didn't have a ringtone. It was too quiet, like someone pressing the phone against their lips. I know it sounds stupid now, but back then, it made me hesitate. But then it kept buzzing, pressing. And when it did, something caught my attention. So I pressed answer, and I could hear my own voice echo back. Hello? The line was silent, and then a voice broke through the quiet, faint, broken, like it was coming from a radio that wasn't tuned in. It said, "Don't look at the window." And then the line went dead. Of course, I looked at the window. There was nothing there. All I saw was the window's reflection, the blurry streetlights outside. Nothing moving, nothing watching. Yet the voice had come from inside my room. I told myself it was a prank, but I couldn't help but think maybe I should listen to the voice's warning. Don't look at the window. What was it hiding? Why was it telling me not to look? Curiosity got the better of me. I checked the window again, but this time it was different. Before, I had only seen my room reflected in the glass. Now, the glass seemed clear, and standing right outside my window, leaning in, was a face. It was pale. That's the first thing I noticed. Pale as bone, like it had been drained of all color, all life. The second thing I noticed was the smile. It was wide and crooked, like a crescent moon made flesh. And those teeth, they were long and sharp, yellowed and jagged. They reminded me of fangs. But the scariest part was the eyes. Or maybe what was missing where the eyes should have been. Empty sockets stared back at me. And as I looked into those empty pits, it felt like something was sucking the warmth from my body, draining me of my soul. Of course, I screamed. How could I not? But as I did, something in the window moved. Not the face, that remained frozen in its silent scream. But behind it, something shifted in the shadows. Something big and dark seemed to stir. Whatever it was, it responded to the commotion. A low growl rumbled through the window pane, vibrating up my arm and straight into my chest. As the noise continued to rise, the face at the window changed. It contorted into an expression of pure malice, its smile turning into a snarl. And that's when I realized two things. One, I had woken up. This wasn't happening. It was all just a dream. And two, I shouldn't have woken up because whatever was on the other side of that window was not happy to be disturbed. I don't remember how long I sat there frozen with fear, staring at that window, but eventually I forced myself to move. As I slowly pulled away from the window, my gaze fell on my phone lying on the nightstand. Beside it, the screen was still lit, displaying the caller ID of the person who had called me earlier. I recognized the name. It was mine. I reached out and picked up the phone. The screen went dark. I tried to dial my number, but the call didn't connect. Shaking, I managed to get through to voicemail and a raspy voice answered. "Sorry, the user you are calling is unavailable," as if mocking me. I hung up. Still clutching the phone, I got out of bed and walked to the window. Outside, the morning sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink. It was beautiful. And yet all I could think about was the grotesque face that had been grinning at me moments before. Had it really been a dream? I touched my chest. My heart was racing. My skin was clammy. I could still feel the phantom touch of the cold window against my cheek. The memory of the terror was as real as the sunrise outside. Suddenly, a crash from downstairs made me jump. I spun around, half expecting to see the window shattered and the monster from my dream stepping inside. But it was just my cat who had knocked over a chair. Still, the incident left me shaken. I decided to leave my house. Maybe the fresh air would help clear my thoughts. Plus, I had to go to work. Sitting at my desk all day wouldn't make me any less anxious. I drove in tense silence, my mind replaying the events of the previous night over and over. Was I going crazy? Was I making all this up? By the time I arrived at work, my boss thought I had suffered a personal emergency. I was that distracted. Once I got home that evening, I did the only thing I could think of. I called the police. When they arrived, I told them about the phone call, the face at the window, everything. They listened patiently, but their polite smiles told me exactly what they were thinking. This woman thinks she's losing her mind. The police even checked the exterior of my house, but of course they didn't find anything. And by the time they left, I was starting to believe that maybe they were right. I was alone. No one was coming to help me, so I did the only thing I could do. I waited. Waited for sleep to take me back to that night, back to the face at the window. I woke up in a sweat, my heart pounding like a drum solo. But there was no face at the window, no eerie whispers, no nothing. It was just another normal morning. But as I went about my day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I turned around, I half expected to see the creature from my dream slinking away from me. I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head, just stress, anxiety, maybe even a trick of the light. But then the phone rang again. Yes, it rang again. It was the same number. Trembling, I answered. On the other end, I could hear my own voice echo back at me. Hello? This time the voice was clearer. It sounded like it was right next to me. It said, "Don't let it in." And with that, it hung up. I stood there holding the receiver, my mind racing. Was this real, or was I still dreaming? And more importantly, what was it trying to warn me about? Suddenly, I felt exposed, vulnerable. The walls of my house, once a sanctuary, now felt like the bars of a prison cell. I paced from room to room, checking windows, locking doors. But it wasn't enough. The voice had been clear. It was coming for me. And I knew whatever it was, it wouldn't stop until it had me. And then it hit me. It hadn't been trying to get into my house the night before. It had been trying to keep me in. I raced to the front door and flung it open. Out on the porch, under the dim glow of the streetlight, I saw it. The face was back. The pale, lifeless face. The voice had warned me not to let it in. But now it was out. It was free. And as it took a step back from the door, revealing the darkness behind it, I knew I had made a terrible mistake. Whatever was out there, it was waiting. It had been waiting for me to let it in. And now it was here. Whatever it wasn't human. It was something else. Something evil. As it glided past me into my house, I cried out. It paused, turning its soulless eyes toward me. It tilted its head, almost as if it were curious, studying me like a specimen. Then it spoke. Its voice was like nails on a chalkboard. It rasped, "You shouldn't have opened the door." I stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The creature took a step closer, and I could see more clearly. Its skin was stretched tight over its bones, giving it a desiccated, withered appearance. Its clothes, once probably fine garments, were now rags hanging off its emaciated frame. With each step it took, it seemed to grow larger, more imposing. Its presence filled my house, suffocating me, crushing me. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't. I was paralyzed with fear, trapped in the grip of a terror I'd never known. And as it advanced, its eyes boring into mine, I realized I was right. I was dreaming. And this wasn't just any nightmare. This was my forever nightmare.